Hi, my name is Jim Berlin. I'm the founder and CEO of Logistics Plus. Logistics Plus is a global supply chain company for the 21st century. We move shit, but as the world has finally figured out, and what we already knew, is that moving shit is not as easy as it seems. There is a big, interconnected, and often complicated global supply chain that needs to be navigated, and having someone there who knows the ropes and helps customers do that has become a much more critical and recognizable business. I think it's like from that old movie, The Graduate. Supply chain is the new plastics. That's become a big buzzword. People didn't know about it. It's been there forever, and now everyone kind of knows about it and talks about it. And we've been doing this for 26 years. We know the tricks of the trade. We have connections, and we have the kind of push to find a way when others can't. We can guarantee you we'll work till we're done to find a way to get it done. That's kind of the big difference with us and a lot of others. And people ask me all the time, well, if that's the answer, why doesn't everybody do it? I said, I don't know. Some companies will take your stuff and tell you they'll get it there, and if they don't, they tell you who to call. One of the parts of the plus is that we take you to the end, and we don't leave you alone, and if you need help, we're there to help from start to finish. And not everyone does that, and believe it or not, it's a service industry. Service is hard to come by, and we provide that extra plus service that's made us grow from $120,000 to about $500 million company, and only because of that, the people and the extra effort they give. Yeah, I think culture matters more than anything, and everyone. I always tell people when I do interviews, everything moves, and there's only 4 ways to do it. There's trains, trucks, planes, and ships. So everyone does the same thing. It's how you do it. It's how just because UPS is 100 times bigger than us, their planes don't go faster, their trucks don't go faster, they don't get more miles a gallon. Everyone does the same, so it's the human effort that gets put into that. And so when I hire people, I tell them, this is all about you. This is you making sure that the commitment you make to your customer gets done right. And it's going to take sometimes nights, sometimes weekends, and that sucks. But it's what makes the difference between us and the ones that don't do it that way. We'll keep growing. One thing I've learned in 26 years of doing this, it's all about people. Any business is. To be unstoppable is to always find a way to get to yes. In our world, there's a lot of reasons to be able to say no. A lot of people do that, but we find a way to get to yes. The personality trait that I think is most important is doggedness. A lot of failures in life. You try things and they don't always work, but to keep trying, to get back up off the ground and to keep going at it and figuring it out, I think that's been the key to our success. Our company has contributed to a better world in several ways, and most recently being the COVID-19 that changed the world, and then the Ukraine war that's changed the world again. In both instances, we moved quickly. We found supplies in China that we distributed all over the state of Pennsylvania and the US and actually the world. And when the war broke out in Ukraine, we moved very quickly to provide supplies to the strong folks fighting there. It's been a crazy growth experience. It's an old Buddhist saying that there is no plan because it's all planned, and that's perfectly true for us. There's no vision of starting anything big. It was just kind of making a living at a time after I'd been fired from my former company. But truly because we hired the right people and we treated them well and gave them a vision, and people, for whatever reason, kind of joined in and followed that vision, and the growth has been incredible all over the world. Still growing. The last 2 years, as tough as they've been, we've exploded. And again, because when things are easy, anyone can do it. When times get tough, it's not the same, and a lot of people give up. We didn't. We led the way. Next for our company is our continued humble global domination from Erie, Pennsylvania, all over the world, and the growth that is taking us from this small town in Midwestern USA to all corners of the globe. Our company has contributed in a lot of ways, one of which is by creating hundreds of jobs in Pennsylvania here, and growing to all over the world where those locations are. If someone were starting out a business today, I'd say get ready to work really hard. That a lot of times the greatest ideas don't always work. but you need a good idea for sure, but you need a lot of elbow grease as well. And the hard work and never giving up, I think, is the key to success in business. When we bought this place almost 20 years ago, the city called us visionary, and I said, no, delusionary probably. It was a torn down building, ready to go to the wrecking ball, and we had 30 people is all we had in it. So 100,000 square feet, we used one-tenth of the place maybe. My buddy that talked me into it, he says, the cool factor's off the chart. And my son, who's smarter than me, said, yeah, that's no reason to buy it though, Dad. And he was right. But the cool factor has made a difference. It's a great place to be. It's a historic building. We've brought, what was a derelict place back to full use now. It's still transportation like it was in the day of when it was just a train station. When you go around the world and you say, we're from Erie, Pennsylvania, they say, like, where? And we show them the train station, oh, they see that big structure, and they it gives you some substance. So my buddy that told me to buy it, he was right, it's had a big impact on us. And there's now over 150 people in this building, making a good living, moving product all over around the world, and making Erie proud. I thought a lot about who would be the one person I'd want to meet if I could meet them from now or from the past. And there's the usual list of Gandhi and Lincoln and George Washington and Confucius and the Buddha and people that changed the world. And I really had a hard time figuring that out. And at first I thought, well, all of them might be a disappointment because they're all people after all, and people all have flaws, so I might be disappointed. I thought about it a lot, and without any question, it would be to have dinner with my dad, who passed away 25 years ago, in my arms, and I think he'd be proud of what he saw that we've accomplished here. All these quotes we have here, one was my dad's. Don't be stupid. And I didn't always listen to him. It usually came with a knock to the back of the head. You see, my dad would have been really proud of what I accomplished. He'd probably be surprised by it, but I think he'd be really proud. His father was a businessman who lost everything in the Depression in 1929, and I think my dad always had the entrepreneurial spirit, but he worked his whole life. He worked till he was 81 years old. He retired at 81, and lived in an apartment his whole life, never bought a house, because he was afraid of losing everything. So I think he'd be kind of happy to see this and proud of his son. But yeah, it's something I talk to him every day. It's something I'd love to share with him. So I hope he knows. My first job was a cabana boy at El Patio in Long Beach, Long Island. Best job I ever had. It was a lot of fun, made a lot of money, had a great time. It was the 60s, so it was, I want to go back there someday. Superpower I would want would be to travel through time. I think that would be kind of interesting to go forward and back and see what's what. But also I'd want it to include travel from place to place in the present too, and kind of go scout things out. But definitely time travel is what I think would be most interesting. Well, my favorite place of vacation is right down the road from where I was a cabana boy. So I was back in Long Island where I grew up. Best beaches in the world, fun place to be. It's an hour from New York City, and beautiful sand that no one knows about. I always say my proudest accomplishment as an entrepreneur is having created something from nothing, but then I realized every entrepreneur can say that, so I had to think of it a little bit more deeply. And honestly, what I think it is, I believe I'm a coach at heart, and that providing really good jobs, a fun environment for a lot of good people, many of whom kind of rose up to much greater heights than they probably had in mind for themselves. I think that's been the most rewarding thing for me, is to see people. We have people that came from McDonald's, serving food there, that run $50 million parts of our business. And I'm pretty sure they didn't picture themselves doing that, but they do. And that's the pride I have in them is really what makes me most proud. I've tried to learn about leadership from people I've met. A lot of times it comes from people you don't expect. In 2009, Jack Welch spoke at the Entrepreneur of the Year Gala in Palm Springs, and the world had shaken. There was the recession, and we had to let people go. The only time in 25 years we had to lay anyone off, no fault of their own, there just was no work for them. And Jack Welch at the time said two things: get under the bed and suck your thumb, or get out there and lead. And it hit me. And so that comes, times like that come back in times like these. When COVID hit, we didn't miss a beat. We found a way to get PPE into the U.S. real quick. We took 1 million face shields from the state of Pennsylvania. They came in wet boxes. So instead of saying, oh, this is a mess, we went across the street. We actually rented a building that same day, and we bought them in, and in 1 week, we reboxed 1 million face shields for the state of Pennsylvania so that they could be delivered to the nurses and the doctors that needed them. But it was everyone. We all went out and got dirty. I drove a forklift. People say I'm happiest when I'm on the forklift. But just, you know, those Jack Welch words are some of the ones that echoed in my head about what do we do now? You know, what do you do? Do you hide, or do you say, okay, this sucks, but we gotta face it and deal with it? And so that leadership that I've learned from EY and others has been real important, because I've brought that to our company.